Support for WUWM podcasts comes from Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee, home to 24/7 excitement, dining, and an on-site hotel at 1721 West Canal Street. More information at potawatomi.com.
Lake Effect brings you conversations about what's happening in Milwaukee and the people, places, and organizations that shape our community. This is Lake Effect Spotlight from WUWM, Milwaukee's NPR.
Some people love Milwaukee streetcar The Hop. Others, not so much. Some local officials are calling to defund it. Others want to expand it. But they're running into trouble doing that because of a 2023 state legislative package. WUWM's Maayan Silver jumped on The Hop with Jeremy Jannene, president of Urban Milwaukee, to learn how The Hop is funded and what's on the table for the future.
So it's a fully electric streetcar system, runs on rails in the ground, opened in 2018. It's about a 2-mile main route, and then there was an extension, so there's actually 2 routes, although they share a fair amount of track. The extension goes to the lakefront. It's free to ride. It connects kind of the lower east side of Milwaukee, the very edge of the lower east side, through the east side of downtown to the 3rd Ward and to the very edge of the Menominee Valley.
And it's become kind of a hot button, or maybe it always was, kind of political issue.
I think it certainly always was a political issue. There was a couple quiet years. It was funded in large part with a federal grant, and then the city put in some matching funds. The issue now is, well, if the city stopped running the streetcar, what happens? And the big thing is the city would owe the federal government a prorated amount of that grant, which is estimated at like $48 million.
Wow, that's a steep chunk of money.
That is a lot of money to write a check to someone at once.
So can you unpack that a little bit for people who haven't quite been following the Milwaukee? Ooh, I see a streetcar in the distance.
So sure, any federal grant that you get to build a transportation asset, whether it's a freeway, a streetcar, something in the port, if it has a term, and for the streetcar it's 25 years, I think, of operation. If you stop doing that within that amount of time, you owe the federal government a prorated amount back. They give you the money they expect you're going to do it. So the HOP is 7 years in now, so they would owe deferred amount of $70 million, which was the federal grant to build the system. They would owe that much back to the federal government.
So just to make it clear, the city isn't on the hook for that right now, only if they got rid of the streetcar.
Correct. Only if they got rid of the streetcar. Otherwise, the city, and this is where it kind of comes a rub every year at budget time, is the city has to pay to operate the streetcar, which costs about $7 million a year. There's about $4 million that the city actually has to pay.
On that note, let's kind of hustle. I guess we're kind of far from No, we'll be fine. There's plenty of doors. You're a seasoned streetcar user.
I've never gotten anywhere early, so I'm always running onto it.
So what we were saying was that the city, you were just ending with the amount of money that the city has to pay every year for the city budget.
Yeah, so the streetcar has a $7 million operating cost next year. It's kind of gone up every year, especially when the extension opened to the lakefront. And they estimate they're going to get about $3 million in revenue. A big chunk of that is Potawatomi's annual sponsorship. And then there's a $4 million gap that the city has to pay somehow. And the city has chosen, since the system was designed, to pay that using the parking fund, which they renamed the transportation fund. But that's money from parking tickets, parking meters, and then garages and parking lots that the city owns.
Okay, so enter an alderman. Alderman Scott Spiker. He's with District 13, which is way in the south of the city. It's the southernmost, aldermanic district. What's his stake here?
Scott Spiker was elected in 2019, so he didn't vote on the system's creation in 2015, and he replaced actually a pro-streetcar alderman, Terry Wachowski. And Scott Spiker has never been a fan of the streetcar, and this year he's really ramped it up to say, I want to get rid of it. He tried this a couple of years ago, and that amount that the city has to pay back, now it's $48 million. It was 60-some million then. So the idea went over like a lead balloon. Now he's thinking, the Trump administration, maybe they'll just forgive the money that the city owes them.
And he's got some people on board with him, right? Who's that?
He's got state legislators on board. He yet to find a single common council member to go on board with him. But he has State Senator Van Wongard from Racine, and then former Milwaukee Alderman, now State Representative Bob Donovan.
They're both Republicans.
They're both Republicans. They've both authored a letter to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy saying, hey, get on board with Scott Spiker's request to forgive Milwaukee owing any debt related to the project.
And then there are people that are, kind of opposing Alderman Spiker, a few alder people. Who's that?
Area alderman, and I say area being the downtown alderman, Bob Bauman is the leader of that, as well as Peter Burgelis, who represents a district on the far southwest side to Spiker's far southeast side.
Interesting. And both of them say that the hop is actually a boon to the city.
They justify that, one, based on the mobility it provides some people, but two, looking at assessed values. They look at the values downtown of property have risen faster than the rest of the city. They attribute that at least partially to the hop. You'd have to really get in the weeds with real estate developers to figure out if that's true. But the one thing we do know is the 333 water tower, and we're actually going to ride by that shortly. The developers of that said that the streetcar was a factor in developing the building there.
Okay, but the city budget has just been on the minds of all the alder people. I guess Alderman Spiker made an amendment, and he was asking to defund the hop as well. He made another amendment. What was that?
So he has two big amendments. One, he just defund the whole thing, as you said. But the second, and he got no support for that so far. The second amendment he's picked up a lot of support for is when we got on the hop, it was totally free. There's no fare box. The amendment requests the Department of Public Works, which operates the hop, to come up with a plan to actually charge a fare, whether that's actually getting people to go enforce the fare or just a please put money in this box. We don't know yet.
And what do you think? How do you think that's gonna, go over with people in Milwaukee?
I think people, the attitude towards the hop, when you look on social media, what people are commenting, when you talk to people about it, is there is a concern that it's totally free. You look at a city like Cincinnati, they actually charged people to ride their streetcar, and then they got rid of it, and the number of people that rode it went way up, and they found more utility in it. So the question is, the city of Milwaukee could charge. Will ridership go down so the utility goes down? And then how much money could they actually get? And to Scott Spiker's point, he thinks it's a matter of fairness that these people at least need to pay something.
We're currently going down my favorite street in Milwaukee. It's actually St. Paul, just south of the public market. Have you ever been on this street at 5 p.m.?
Oh yeah, it's one of the most attractive streets in Milwaukee. Just how all the buildings collectively make this great urban environment.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. So you think people would get on and off and potentially pay a fare?
I think there's enough people that would pay a fare. I think if the city, looking at just experiences in other cities, if the city tried to spend money on enforcing the fare, however they went about that, they would probably end up losing money on the whole ordeal.
So what do you think, if you had a crystal ball, what would be your assessment of that amendment?
I think the amendment will pass. I think the solution to satisfy kind of the political argument will be just to put please put money on this box on the streetcar. I don't know how much money they'll actually collect. Maybe someone will pay. We'll see.
I see. Interesting. So it might be kind of at a museum where you get the please donate if you like this.
Exactly. That's exactly what I would expect.
The big elephant in the room is why can't Milwaukee expand in the whole Act 12 shared revenue thing?
Sure. Milwaukee, when they originally built the streetcar, was using what are called TIF districts, which is basically future property tax dollars from development to fund the system. And that worked very well to get the system up and running. Then the city ran into fiscal issues where they needed to go to the state, and as part of this grand bargain to get a sales tax, the state imposed all kinds of restrictions, and one of them was no TIF districts or other property tax funding to extend the streetcar, which really limits the city's options for how it can fund an extension. It can go get a federal grant, even if the federal government's willing, but it doesn't have anything to match that money with locally anymore.
Because Act 12 essentially says you can't use property tax money to pay for the hop?
Correct. Act 12 says a lot of things that aren't related to the sales tax. You can't do referendums that are advisory. The Fire and Police Commission no longer has policy over the police department. So it has all these non-fiscal things in it, and one of those is no streetcar extensions.
So do you anticipate, I know some people have said, I think in some of your reporting you talked to Public Works Commissioner Jarrell Krishke. What do they think about it?
There seems to be some optimism within the Department of Public Works that with the change in state maps that it won't be just Republicans in control in the state legislature, and that could lead to a more favorable environment for transit. Maybe that provision gets stripped out of some future state budget bill.
But Democrats would have to win control of at least one house or both.
Correct. Yeah, that's. I assume it is all based on the hunch that Democrats take control of the Senate.
Okay. And then there's the other thing that shutting the system down, according to Krushke, would eliminate Milwaukee from getting Federal Transportation Administration funding in the future. Do you know anything about that?
That's what he said, and that the city has long made that argument that, okay, not only will we owe, right now it's $48 million back, but we'll also get this kind of scarlet letter that the federal government's not going to hand us more money. I don't know how true that is. That is their claim. The city doesn't get a lot of federal money directly. A lot of it comes via the state. So what money there is out there that the city might get, it's up in the air, but it certainly doesn't look good if you're taking money and then giving it back.
And currently we are at the intermodal station. This is where everybody can take trains to Chicago or buses or can go to Minneapolis, all sorts of things. Hi.
We're literally at the end of the line right now. We just watched the operator get out. He walks to the other end and we'll start up and go the other direction.
So overall, what's your assessment of this project in Milwaukee? Like, do you think it benefits the city? What do you think?
When I look at it, when I think back to when it was being debated in 2015, a lot of the discussion was about, okay, we're going to start here and then we're going to grow it. And it seemed like it just continued to make more sense, even with relatively short extensions. I think if the city can't extend it, the longer it goes on, it is going to have challenges getting political support to continue to operate it.
Gotcha. Have you ever seen potential design plans for what the extensions would look like in Milwaukee if it went to Brady or Walker's Point or Bronzeville or, all the Fiserv?
There was a huge push in 2019, in part to get the short extension done for the DNC at the time in 2020, to extend things up to Wisconsin Avenue, to what's now the Barrett Center. And I believe engineering work is essentially complete to extend the streetcar to Fiserv Forum. There's just no money to actually build it. Just extending it by one stop to the Barrett Center, which was always part of the vision to get to Wisconsin Avenue. If you look at Val Phillips Plaza, there's even essentially a cut through the plaza where the streetcar is planned to go. That would provide a ton of utility because it would just open up a large section of Westtown. You'd be just a couple blocks from Fiserv Forum. You wouldn't be there yet. You'd be right at the convention center where lots of visitors are. That little increment would add a lot of utility to the system.
Why do you think the legislators in Wisconsin needed to put that clause in?
I think when you look at the sales tax deal, it was clear there was a lot of partisan politics baked into it. Yes, Milwaukee and Milwaukee County will give you these 2 new sales taxes, but they're also going to take a pound of flesh. So it was advisory referendums, all the kind of things that have been talking points for Republican legislators.
Do you think it would help if people, visited Milwaukee more?
I think that always helps. Similar for people in Milwaukee going to other areas in Wisconsin, that type of communication is always good. But I think just the nature of humans and politics is there's always going to be those kind of wedge issues, and the streetcar just happens to be one of them.
Jeremy Jannene, thank you so much for talking to me on the hop about the hop.
Thanks. Happy to do the interview.
Jeremy Jannene is the president of Urban Milwaukee. He joined WUWM's Maayan Silver on the hop. Milwaukee's Common Council approved Alderman Spiker's measure to create a plan to collect fares on the hop. This measure, along with the entire 2026 budget, will have to be approved by Mayor Cavalier Johnson.
You can find more interviews like this one by visiting WUWM.com/Lake Effect. And while you're there, subscribe to the Lake Effect Spotlight podcast.
Sources and methods, the crown jewels of the intelligence community. Shorthand for how do we know what's real? Who told us? If you have those answers, you're on the inside, and NPR wants to bring you there. From the Pentagon to the State Department to spy agencies, listen to understand what's really happening and what it means for you. Sources and Methods, the new national security podcast from NPR.